let's start with the biggest story of the day, and that is the news that DeWanna Bonner is no longer with the Indiana Fever. It was reported last night that DeWanna Bonner had no intentions on returning to the Indiana Fever, and then the news broke today that the Indiana Fever had indeed waived DeWanna Bonner.
After just 9 games and barely 3 months with the franchise, veteran star DeWanna Bonner has officially been waived, bringing an end to what had become a tense and disruptive situation that could have derailed the Fever's championship ambitions.
I think she played bad on purpose. She plummeted her stock to the point where it's not like we could trade her. It's official. It is official, y'all. We have waived DeWanna Bonner per a source. League sources told the Indy Star. And we're also re-signing Ari McDonald, which is good news. We all wanted Ari back, right? That's good news. But we got to tackle this DeWanna Bonner thing first. I think this was a scam. I think we just got hustled. And I think the fix was in on this from the beginning. From the beginning, bruh.
The writing was on the wall from the very beginning. What began as Indiana's headline free agent signing soon turned into a cautionary tale about ego, expectations, and the fragile chemistry that surfaces when veteran players struggle to embrace evolving roles in a rapidly changing league.
DeWanna Bonner is officially done with the Indiana Fever. Now, DB has been out for the past 6 games for personal reasons, but other than that, the team has been pretty quiet on what exactly is going on, and there's been so much speculation around her absence. But the whole thing was just kind of bizarre, and a lot of Fever fans were speculating that we're not going to see her back. And just today, it was announced that she has no intentions on returning to the Indiana Fever, and her preferred destinations are either Atlanta or the Phoenix Mercury. It's also been reported that the main reason that she wanted to leave is because things felt off from the beginning and she thought that she would be a starter. But if you guys remember, DB was starting in the beginning of the season and she honestly just wasn't playing her best, so Lexi Hall moved into that starting position.
Bonner's departure from Indiana is about much more than a routine roster change. A 2-time WNBA champion, she joined the Fever with the intention of being part of something meaningful, helping mentor a young core built around the generational talent of Caitlin Clark. Instead, the situation unraveled into a story of friction and unmet expectations, with a veteran struggling to adjust to a reduced role, ultimately stepping away rather than fully embracing the team's new direction.
But I did hear that DeWanna Bonner was not exactly thrilled with the situation, and it may have been more basketball related than anything else, which appears to be confirmed by this news. And it's just a bummer. Let's call it a DeWanna Bonner bummer, because she didn't live up to the expectations for the team. Obviously, the situation didn't live up to her expectations. It creates more of a mess for the players who are still there. The coach who she coached before now has to deal with it. The franchise is left holding the salary cap space that Bonner eats up. And you know, they have to adjust on the fly because the roster now needs to be improved.
The controversy reportedly erupted almost immediately after Bonner arrived in Indianapolis. Although she was signed as a veteran presence expected to bring leadership and basketball IQ, she was moved to the bench after just 3 games as a starter. Coach Stephanie White made the decision to insert Lexi Hall into the starting lineup, a move that did not appear to sit well with the 37-year-old veteran.
Fit with the rotations of the team. She's upset that Lexi Hall took her spot. That's the truth. Little blonde girl from next door took her spot. That's what it was. Well, Lexi Hall is a good basketball player. I think she earned that spot, in my opinion, and she's shooting very well from 3. She's an excellent 3-point shooter this season. She's a sniper this season. And she hustles, she gets rebounds, she gets steals. She puts her heart out every single game.
What followed was a stretch of behavior that raised questions around the situation. Bonner began missing games due to what the team described as personal reasons. However, reports surrounding the situation suggested there was more complexity behind her absence. Rather than a straightforward availability issue, it became part of a broader storyline tied to her reduced role and growing uncertainty about her fit with the team after the lineup changes.
So the interesting part of all this was the personal reason stuff was a smokescreen. It was a cover-up. The timeline behind all this was DeWanna Bonner actually requested a trade. So trade requests are common. Well, she requested a trade from me. That takes her out of the quitting portion. I think what happened is her salary was so exorbitant that they could not find the right combo of value in the teams that could match the players to make those numbers match. And it only being 14 games into the season, there's not a lot of sample size of effectiveness, and I think it made the player evaluations kind of difficult for teams around the league.
If you're enjoying this, please subscribe. The numbers are often cited when discussing Bonner's recent dip in impact and the frustration surrounding her situation. After consistently averaging double-digit scoring across her previous 15 WNBA seasons, she reportedly finished with 7.1 points and 3.8 rebounds per game, shooting 34.5% from the field. Her minutes also dipped to around 21.3 per game, the lowest since her rookie year in 2009. However, the conversation around her situation has extended beyond statistics. Rather than focusing purely on performance, attention has shifted toward questions of role and fit within the team. Some reports have suggested she was unhappy with how her role evolved after lineup changes, and there have been rumors linking her with interest in a potential move elsewhere, including teams like the Phoenix Mercury or the Atlanta Dream. Still, much of this remains part of a broader narrative rather than confirmed fact, and the situation has largely been shaped by speculation, differing perspectives, and ongoing debate around team dynamics and expectations.
The champion has no interest in returning to play for the Fever. The same sources indicated Bonner's preferred landing spots are with the Phoenix Mercury, her boo thang, or the Atlanta Dream. Bonner's agent, Mike Kund, had no comment regarding his client's standing with the Fever. No comment is a comment. No explanation is an explanation. If we were trying to get back, we would have said, oh, we're trying to get back. We're trying to work some things out behind the scenes so both parties are satisfied moving forward. We don't even get that. That speaks volumes.
Brittany Griner's presence in Atlanta adds another layer to the ongoing discussion surrounding league narratives and player matchups. As one of the most physically imposing centers in the game, Brittany Griner has often been part of high-intensity matchups that draw strong reactions from fans and analysts alike, especially when facing star guards like Caitlin Clark. Across several meetings, commentators have debated the physical nature of those contests, with some pointing to aggressive defense and others viewing it simply as part of competitive basketball at the highest level. These interpretations have fueled ongoing discussion rather than any clear consensus, reflecting how quickly narratives can form around marquee players and high-profile games. Against that backdrop, speculation about potential roster moves, such as veterans potentially linking up in places like the Atlanta Dream or the Phoenix Mercury, has further amplified attention. However, much of this remains rumor and projection rather than confirmed development, adding to the broader media-driven storyline that often surrounds the league's biggest names and matchups.
I'm an athlete competing at the highest level. I'm a perfectionist, and you want to be really good every single night. And, when you're not, that can frustrate you. But I think it's just reminding yourself of why you play this game and, how much fun you've had doing it over the course of, however many years it's been since you were a little kid. So I don't think that's changed at all. That's the reason I still play. And, this is what I've always dreamed of. So, for me, it's just fun, and it's just a game at the end of the day.
And you hope Caitlin Clark can keep that energy the rest of the season. I think everybody wants to see that from her. But obviously, stuff like this gets to a team as well. Now, the question is, where do the Fever go from here?
The timing of Bonner's departure came at a pivotal moment in the season. Despite early struggles, the Fever had started to build momentum, especially following the return of Caitlin Clark from injury. A 94-86 win over the Seattle Storm on June 24th highlighted what the team was beginning to unlock as chemistry improved within the rotation. In that game, Clark contributed in a playmaking role with 9 assists and 3 steals, even while scoring just 6 points. More importantly, the supporting cast stepped up in a balanced defensive effort. Aaliyah Boston delivered a career-high 31 points, Kelsey Mitchell added 26, and Lexi Hull chipped in 15. For the Indiana Fever, the performance was seen as an encouraging sign of what the roster could look like when roles were clearer and execution was more cohesive.
Obviously, there were reports today that DB doesn't intend to return to the team. Just what conversations have you had with her and with the front office about that?
Yeah, I had a lot of conversations recently, really focused on her that we have right here, and what we need to do to position ourselves to win.
So I'm here with, who's going to be here with me, who's going to be in the trenches with me. Because DeWanna Bonner kind of quit. I don't know if there's a better word for it. She kind of quit.
The contrast has been widely discussed, though interpretations vary. With Bonner no longer in the rotation, some observers felt the Fever showed improved rhythm and clearer on-court chemistry, with the younger core appearing more comfortable in their roles and responsibilities. However, it's important to note that these assessments are largely based on perception and short-term results rather than definitive cause and effect. The situation has been framed by many as a matter of fit and role adjustment rather than anything more absolute. Bonner's tenure also drew attention because of her long-standing reputation as one of the league's most accomplished veterans, with a decorated career that includes multiple All-Star selections and championships. From that perspective, expectations for her impact in Indiana were naturally high, particularly in a leadership capacity alongside a developing roster. Following her exit, she stated in comments that the situation did not ultimately align as expected, describing it as a mismatch in fit rather than anything more personal. As with many mid-season roster changes, reactions have been mixed, ranging from disappointment to understanding, reflecting the complexity of integrating veteran players into evolving team structures.
I appreciate the organization's willingness to grant my request to move on, particularly at this point in my career. I wish the Fever great success as they continue to build around this dynamic group of young players. Man, whatever, bruh. We should have held her hostage. You ain't going nowhere. How about that? You gonna sit out your 16th season in. How about that? What, man? Get her up out of here. Can Bree Turner be next? I want all them Connecticut. Get them up out of here. Pack them up. Get them up out of here. Natasha Howard can go too.
However, the situation has also been interpreted in a much simpler and more contested way by different voices around the league. Some narratives frame the core issue as a clash of expectations within a changing roster hierarchy, where the emergence of Caitlin Clark as the clear focal point of the Indiana Fever has reshaped roles and responsibilities across the lineup. As a rookie sensation who quickly evolved into the face of the franchise, Clark's rise has been one of the defining storylines of the season. Her popularity has been reflected in fan engagement as well, including leading early All-Star voting totals with significant support, underscoring the scale of attention she draws both on and off the court. On the floor, her production has matched that momentum, with strong scoring and elite playmaking numbers contributing to a noticeable shift in Indiana's competitiveness. At the same time, Clark's impact is often discussed beyond statistics alone, particularly her role in elevating viewership, attendance, and overall interest in women's basketball. This broader visibility has added another layer to how roster decisions and team dynamics are analyzed, especially when veteran players are adjusting to evolving roles within a rapidly changing franchise structure.
You guys defend because y'all hate Clark and the Fever that much. Oh, DeWanna Bonner wanted to get out of there because it was toxic. And she heard the racist chant it was on. It wasn't none. There was nothing found in the investigation, man. It was all bullshit. For y'all to keep sitting up here trying to paint this fan base like it's so toxic, man. DeWanna Bonner, you're fucking ass for this. No respect, all respect lost, man. Pathetic, bro. Did you just come here to stink it up on purpose? See, this is why I keep saying, man, if players, how they act on the court is who they are. When she did that shit with Clark last season in the playoffs, having that attitude, swiping at her like that, it explains everything. All that fake ass shit, that you want to help build a championship team and you praising Clark and praising this and praising that just to fucking quit?
There isn't any verified information supporting claims about Bonner's personal feelings toward Clark, her intentions within the locker room, or any internal disruption dynamics being described here. Those elements are speculative and present a subjective interpretation rather than established fact. What is generally understood in professional sports is that roster changes and role adjustments can create tension simply because expectations don't always align once games begin. Veterans may experience reduced usage or shifting responsibilities, while teams simultaneously try to develop younger core players and define long-term direction. In that context, the Indiana Fever have indeed been in a transition phase, building around emerging talent like Caitlin Clark while integrating experienced players into evolving roles. That process naturally involves experimentation with rotations, lineup changes, and adjustments from both coaches and players. However, framing it as one player refusing to support another or attributing intent, motives, or locker room sentiment goes beyond what can be reliably confirmed. These situations are usually far more complex internally than what is visible through game results or external commentary, and they are rarely accurately captured by single narrative explanations.
I thought Lexi Hull was incredible in that third quarter, just finishing at the rim, hitting threes on both baselines, running the floor, defending, and really showing why she took DeWanna Bonner's position. And I think a lot of people are going to have to reckon with that. Like, you see Lexi Hull, and it's like, well, you know, who is Lexi Hull in comparison to DeWanna Bonner, this Hall of Famer, this legend? It's like, it's 2025, you know, it's a new day. And, you know, for this squad, Lexi was the right choice. And at the beginning of the year, I said Lexi Hull coming off the bench was like a strength, and it was like found money, because like she already has all the experience starting last year. To move her to a bench role, she's like way overpowered in that role, and then it turned out to correct itself.
There's no verified basis for framing the situation as a toxic locker room, being removed, or for attributing specific personality dynamics to individual players in that way. What can be said more neutrally is that the Indiana Fever have been actively managing roster changes as they evaluate fit, roles, and long-term direction around emerging players like Caitlin Clark and key young contributors such as Aaliyah Boston. In any rebuilding or retooling phase, rotations and short-term contracts are often adjusted to find the right balance of development and competitiveness. Moves like signing or re-signing players, such as Ari McDonald, are typically better understood in terms of roster flexibility, depth, and system fit rather than as symbolic judgments about other players. McDonald is known for her defensive pressure, pace, and energy, which can be valuable in specific lineup combinations. Overall, roster turnover in professional sports is usually driven by performance evaluation, tactical needs, and organizational direction, rather than the kind of personal or cultural narratives suggested here.